Hey, Rosalie. Oh, you gotta unmute.
I'm gonna go back to the video because I'm on now. So I'm gonna hang up my phone.
Okay, all right, we'll see you in a sec, Val.
Good.
Sorry, some technical difficulties this morning.
Okay,
Uh,
I just checked to be sure that they weren't on my end. Morning,
Yeah,
Rosalie.
Good morning.
Hey, Susan.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Morning,
I'm gonna take
Val.
a moment to look.
Johnny,
Hello, Barry.
morning.
Felicia, we can see you.
Yes,
Oh my
good morning.
God, Felicia.
Oh, progress in any way.
This is my first face with a name with Felicia. I have not seen your face yet until
Oh,
now.
no, we
Awesome.
haven't. We've not. It's nice to see you.
Leah,
Thank
Leah,
you.
Leah.
She's also by
All
far the
right,
youngest
I'm in
member
a
as
meeting.
well.
I'll call you as soon as
Yeah.
I get out of the meeting.
Yes,
Good night,
you are.
all. Yeah, bye.
So Elise, I learned at the MMA meeting
Yeah,
that when due to this open law requirement, that if you are on an iPad or a computer, you
Yeah.
need to show your face. You can't,
right.
if you are calling in because you can't get onto an iPad, then that's okay. But if you,
Wow.
so you can't go and like block your video out if you're eating or you want to, unless you have to go to the bathroom. They said that something quick.
Oh, tell
So,
you what I mean.
I went to the room for that.
Well, it's
One
just something
finger,
new. I haven't really shared it with the rest of the council. So, so I do have to say that, but I thought it was interesting. That was
You also,
key law,
Val, you pointed out it isn't
wow.
25 people, it's 10, right?
and it's 10, right?
Yeah, so I'll change that.
Yeah.
We need 6.
Yeah, it started
for
with
a
25
quorum,
and then we went down
1,
to
2,
10.
3,
It's still
4,
at 10.
5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Val's non-voting, so we need one more member and then we have a quorum.
Elise, can you hear me?
Yeah, is that you, Roseanne?
It is.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good morning,
Having a little
Roseanne.
problem with my computer, so I had to call in. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. Glad you're here.
Are you with Selma?
No, I'm in Florida.
Oh, listen, I'm in Florida.
Yeah, I'm in Florida. We are not, Roseanne, we are not.
If you were, Roseanne, if you were in Gloucester, you'd be wearing your Wellingtons today.
Oh, really? No,
Yeah,
no,
blowing
I
like
have
stink.
a shirt on now, just,
Yeah,
no.
no snow.
It's cool, it's breezy, but it's not like at home.
Okay, guys, well, we have a quorum, so let's get underway, and if others can join us, so much the better. Bob Quinn, I hope, maybe, yes? Did he say that he was coming or not, Elise?
He didn't say, but a lot of folks really didn't say, you know what I mean? So,
Any word from Jay?
nope, no word
You-
from anyone,
All right,
really.
but of course,
just-
Barry, he wasn't there last night, was he? Jay?
No, he was not.
Yeah, okay. Well, we have,
Karen Carroll said she'd meet us though. She'd join us
Yeah,
later.
she
Karen.
dips in.
Okay, great.
Cool. All right, but I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Gloucester Council on Aging. Today is Tuesday, February the 2nd, 2021. It's 9:30 a.m. and we are meeting remotely via Zoom technology. And I have to read this statement. Consistent with the governor's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and banning gatherings of more than 10 people, this meeting will be conducted by remote participation to the greatest extent possible. The public may not physically attend this meeting, but every effort will be made to allow the public to view and listen to the meeting in real time. And begin with a roll call, please, for voice recognition, beginning with Rosalie, please.
Rosie Castro, Health Department.
Felicia,
Felicia Webb.
Val,
Val Gilman, City Council.
Susan,
Susan Goodall.
Barry,
Barry McKay.
good for you. And Roseanne,
Roseanne Cody.
good. And Fred Count, and Elise,
Elise Sinagra.
cool. You're all present. We have a quorum. So the first item on the agenda, approval of the minutes from December the 8th, 2020.
Motion to approve the minutes of December the 8th and January the 5th, 2021.
Oh, can we do them one at a time, please?
Okay, we'll do them one at a time. Motion to approve the December the 8th, 2020 minutes.
Are there any additions, subtractions, or changes? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second
Second?
it.
Who is the second, please?
Oh, I can't vote.
I will.
Thank you,
I'll second.
Susan. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye, and I'm not going to do roll call from you.
Aye.
Next up, please, our approval of the minutes of January the 5th, 2021. Are there any additions, subtractions, or corrections? Val?
Even though I can't vote, I'd like to amend the minutes.
Yes, please.
To acknowledge that Selma Bell was not at the meeting. And she's
Thank you.
listed
I'll move her there. Are there any further changes? Hearing none, may I have a motion, please, to accept the minutes of January the 5th, 2021 as amended?
Motion to approve the amended minutes, January 5th, 2020.
Thank you, Barry. Is there a second?
Second,
Who's the second, please?
Susan.
Thank you, Susan. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye, please. Aye.
Aye.
Or abstentions? No. Cool. The ayes have it. Thank you, one and all. That's cool.
Paula, I'm here, you're not, I'll call you, I'm in the Zoom meeting.
Right.
You must
And
give a shot.
these minutes are done by Bobby Orlando, and they are first rate. I'm really pleased with the way it's because our conversation has shifted from how it used to be, and the fact that she puts order into this is really admirable. So let's see.
Yeah, and
Starting.
I appreciate her accepting the Zoom link now instead of the
she's just-
recording. Thank you, Fred.
In fact, she's just very flexible, and
That's
she
awesome.
turns out the first rate. Almost no changes. It's really cool.
So helpful.
Okay, starting going around the table, please, for what's on your mind or what you've been up to. Rosalie?
Okay, so the seniors on the go and mass in motion.
Yep.
We just made this booklet, and it has all kinds of exercises and suggestions in it for seniors.
Awesome.
So Jennifer and I are working on getting bags and putting flyers in the booklet, and we're going to pass it out to the seniors.
Great.
So that's one thing that we have going on.
Cool.
The other thing is trying to get people on my bus, Seniors on the Go. We started a mystery trip, and anything we do on our bus has to be healthy food related or exercise.
Yeah.
So we have a mystery bus trip. One is on February 9th, and the other one is on March 9th. And this one, I have a full bus. People are excited about it.
Yeah.
And we're gonna take them out of town. They don't know where we're going. So my bus holds 14 people, but right now, because of COVID, we can only put 8. So I have 8 people plus one in a handicap. So I have a full bus, and we'll be going on a mystery trip. I'll tell you, but you can't tell.
Oh, don't tell.
Okay?
Don't tell.
So I'm taking them to Henry's Market in Beverly. They have a lot of nice prepared foods.
Yeah.
And then we'll take the Shore Road home, and they love that. If we'll take the Shore Road home, and if we still have time, we'll go around the back shore. They love going around the back shore for some reason. So that's what I'm doing with my bus. And
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, that's it for now. Jennifer's working on a new schedule for the bus. They love going out grocery shopping. They love the fish market. So things are going good with Mass in Motion and Seniors on the Go bus.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Susan, what's on your mind?
Oh, well, I've been fighting with getting an appointment to get the vaccine. And
Yeah.
remember back in the days when you would play on eBay and try and get a bid in, and you'd wait and you'd put it in like the last 10 seconds and you'd be number 1, and then somebody'd come in and grab it and then you couldn't make another bid. Well, this is sort of the same thing. Okay, I've been out several times and I've gotten, the thing comes up and it says, there are so many appointments left at one site. So I click on that, I go through, I answer all the questions. I get this thing to get a text message with the confirmation. I fill that out, click the button, no appointments. So you can start all over again.
Frustrating.
So
Yeah.
yesterday, when the mayor called, I had just gone through one of those. And I didn't think, so I immediately called the number, and I feel so sorry for Michael. I mean,
No.
I can't imagine how
Susan,
many
you
people
have
did just what I did.
yeah. But that's okay. It's our job to keep our arms around that, and you have just as much of a right to access Michael and as anybody else in this community. So, yeah, we're figuring out a best way to systematize that, and we'll talk about that when we get that on the agenda.
There's a separate agenda item. So did you finally get an appointment?
No.
Yeah.
I've got lots of people that I know that have gotten them, but I'm one of those people, I never win the door prize. So why did I think I'd win here?
Yeah. Well, there are going to be more options. We'll get there on the agenda.
Well, I admire
not to worry.
your cheerful nature because I think you're going to need it.
Yeah.
Well, I feel I'm pretty lucky because I get out at least once or twice every day with the dogs and go to the beach and I don't have a compromised immune system or any hideous diseases. So I should be patient.
But it is your time. Yes. So Val, what's on your mind?
Not a lot related to COA, Council on Aging, but just an overall concern of getting our seniors in the queue. And then if people like Susan have concerns about getting on, and she's very technical on the computer, I just can't imagine how the folks that don't have that capability. And I am worried about it. I'm also worried about the queues, the legitimacy of the queues, because I'm aware of some folks that do not fall in the categories and are able to get vaccinated, before the folks in phase 2 right now. And I'm just sensitive about that. I just think that we have to focus on the people that are most in need, and that's how it's been set up. So stuff that we can talk about later, but those are the things that are on my mind relative to COA. On the city council, we're just moving forward with everything, and it's just, I'm getting tired of the Zoom stuff, I miss the reactions to people and the socialization, and I can't imagine how seniors are feeling that are already isolated. So that's what's on my mind, but thank you.
Thank you.
Great. It's great to see you all today.
Felicia, what's on your mind? What you up to?
Kata and Felicia, we're actually a status quo. We're not working on a lot of new projects or anything like that.
Yeah.
I saw it in the minutes from last time. We did actually get that second round of dialysis funding, so that program, that's going to keep going for this year, and we'll keep applying for it every year. The program will not end simply because that's a necessary medical treatment. We have to get people over there, but we did get additional funding to continue that service. So,
Good. That's relief. Roseanne, what's on your mind?
Brad?
Happy to report that the quilt project, I flew home for 3 days and I met with Miranda Ashley from the KPM Museum.
Yep.
And we just worked together very quickly. We got everything together. We have the material. We have a woman named Ingrid, bear with me, Schillenbeck, and then it has an X at the end and a hyphen, and the last part is Rice. She is going to be sewing the quilt. Diane Taramina is going to be embroidering the names. And Miranda is really, really happy to get this done by March 10th, because that's the date that we started having the big close down.
Yeah.
So March 10th at 6 p.m., she would like to have a reveal of the quilt online. So I'll update you more on that in March. And she also said that there are quite a few granite pieces left over from the project, the monstrosity of the building they built over there. And they have a big green space. So in the letter that we sent out, she offered if anyone who lost someone, if they would like to claim a piece of granite in that person's name, they can put a picture, they can put flowers, they can do whatever they want with that granite.
Cool.
And they're going to make a walkway so that you can walk through, and that'll be a memorial to the people that have passed.
Wow.
And I can't even tell you the responses that we have received. Every single person was so appreciative, heartfelt thanks. They were, oh my gosh, it was overboard how happy they are that their loved one's going to be included in something.
Wonderful.
Oh,
So all positive.
wow.
Roseanne, you do really good work.
Well, we try.
Yeah,
So
I tell you,
the
you really
quilt-
have, you've touched me this morning, I'll tell you.
Oh, good.
Wow. Barry.
And the
what's on your
quilt
mind?
is going to be lovely.
Oh, one,
Ingrid, we gave Ingrid practically, she's the quilt maker, so she picked out some really, really pretty. Well, in the beginning, they chose colors I wasn't fond of because there was too much gray and I thought it was too morbid. So
Yeah.
then they picked out kind of a swirly blue like the ocean and really pretty colors that are going to complement it. It'll be lovely.
what are the dimensions of the quilt?
You had to ask me. I do know, but it's something like there's going to be 40 squares. How's that?
Okay. Wow, 40. Yeah, that's like the health project. And
Yeah, we
I
have
have-
36 names,
Yeah.
and if we're waiting for many of the people to respond. So I did talk to the mayor like 3 days in a row, and she's going to post it on her Facebook page as a little reminder. Anyone that had someone pass, please call myself or Miranda, and we'll get this going. But we do have the last couple of days, we've gotten quite a few responses.
Wonderful. Anything further?
That's it.
Well, that's a lot, and I thank you. Barry, what's on your mind?
Last working group meeting, we talked about element care. There's a draft, both Suzanne and I have been passing back and forth, which I'll send out hopefully today for people's review. As I was doing the review for element care, they have rolled out on their website the technology. They show it in one of their videos. Their website is heavily video oriented, and they rolled out their program, which basically is going to replace Lifeline over time, which is basically a tablet that sits next to on a table to seniors that they're caring for at home. That the tablet has an avatar. It's either a puppy or a kitten that can talk to them, can play games with them. And I think if you extrapolate, and I'm probably going to call Element Care and see if I can reach the tech person at Element Care, because I'm fascinated with the potential. If you can imagine that the senior at home is wearing a smartwatch, they can be monitored for their health 24/7 because the avatar can be tied to the 24/7 Element Care telephone person. And then you can extrapolate out from that the ability for that avatar to work the computer for them so they don't have to. And then they can join Zoom meetings and things like that. If you think about the potential of this, it's incredible. I'm ready to move forward, though, going back to the issue of the resource list. I think we're to that point where we need to contact the companies and the organizations we have the resource list built for.
Yep.
And get the videos. And so I'm ready to send out the letters. Elise, I'll work with you and get the letters out and try and get some videos in the can and then embed them into the resource list.
Terrific.
Sounds great, Barry.
Let's see. I'd like, go ahead. I wanted, you see the name Suzanne Severa. She came up last night for, the mayor has appointed her to be on Council on Aging.
Nice.
The ordinance administration meeting last night her with open arms. And can she hear us now, Suzanne?
Pardon me?
Is that Suzanne Silvera?
Am I there? Yeah.
Suzanne, are you there?
Oh, Suzanne.
I guess you can't hear us. Oh,
I
in
think
any
she-
event, we are
Fred,
blessed
she
to
is
have,
she's unmuted, so she should be able to speak.
don't know. Well, we
Suzanne,
are
can
ble-
you say hello to us?
No, well, maybe she will at some point.
Okay.
Let's see,
Hello?
There we
Suzanne?
go. Hi, Suzanne, we can hear you. Can you say something again?
No. Right, she, okay, well.
Hello?
There we
No.
go. We hear you, Suzanne.
Hi, how are you now?
Ooh. We hear you, but the audio connection is a little bit quality challenged.
Well, what I can tell you is that her nomination along with Barry's and mine and Selma and Jay, I think, they're all up for approval by City Council on Tuesday at 6 o'clock. And the one thing that we all have to remember to do before that is to have ourselves sworn in. I know we've all done the paperwork for the conflict of interest, but for those of us who need to be sworn in before Tuesday, that is high up on the to-do list, please. Let's see, anything further before we move on to director's report? Cool. Elise. Boy.
So the director's report is going to be, what's really going on down here is that it's all vaccine all the time. That is an incredible priority. And I asked Ann Freeman, our outreach social worker, to come in this week on Tuesday, Wednesday, and half a day Thursday, as opposed to her regular Wednesday through Friday schedule, because after the mayor's robocall went out yesterday stating that there would be vaccine availability here at the senior center, as you can well imagine.
Can you now?
I think we can hear you now, Suzanne. Yep. So as you can well imagine, I've got a lot of emails and the phone is ringing off the hook. So I'll get to that when we get to that in the agenda item. But
Yeah.
the reality of it is everything after vaccine is such a backseat kind of to what's going on with the vaccine. But I am excited to let you know what else is going on, because I'm trying to, at least not let that 100% consume me.
Yes.
So there are also a decent amount of seniors who are calling, inquiring about tax preparation assistance.
Yep.
And the AARP previously had just been saying, we're not doing that. And that is not an answer that we liked at all. So I was very excited to have a conversation with Mary Gundy, who is the longtime coordinator of that AARP, because that assistance was always provided as an AARP program. Mary's been the longtime coordinator of that program for this area for quite a long time. And she gave me a call because she said that now the AARP, instead of saying we're not doing that, they're saying, okay, they're offering like an online pool option where people can go and use like an AARP kind of proprietary tax preparation online option. Or they are also looking into, and they're not sure they're going to do it yet, but they're looking into doing a traditional for folks that can't go on the computer, that don't use a computer at all, that they want to have an option where that person would have a 10-minute appointment to just drop off the documents, and a person from the program, from the AARP program, Mary, or I think Yvonne was her other volunteer,
Yeah.
would just do an intake. Okay, yep, we've got all the documents, you go. So that would be a very quick appointment. Then the volunteers would take those documents, so they would have a series of those appointments, and they'd go off and on their own time, do their own thing, and they would prepare those taxes for the senior. And then there would be a second very quick appointment to hand the documents back to the senior and to give the senior the printed copy of their tax return.
Is this something that you are imagining doing in the library?
Exactly. So
Okay.
when I told Mary at that point had said that she was thinking all the document handoff and that the scanning, it all had to happen in Manchester. And I was like, wait a minute, Mary, like we can do that. We have scanners and we've got capabilities. And so she talked a little bit about kind of the chain of possession of the documents and some of the AARP requirements that nobody touched them except them and stuff like that. And anyway, after a long discussion, we determined that a good bet for this really is, there's some real potential for using the library for this purpose. She does want to make sure that there's enough space at the library for there to be 2 stations for her and Yvonne to be doing these appointments at the same time. I reached out to Jenny, who's incredibly just great and really amenable to the idea. So right now we're trying to nail down a time for Mary and I to meet over with Jenny at the library.
Right.
We'll walk through another walkthrough of that second floor space, specifically with the needs of this AARP program in mind. So we've got some real promise there for helping our seniors with tax preparation, which I think is going to come as a real relief to a lot of the folks that we've been hearing from, and we're, keeping track of those folks so that we'll be able to get back to them and let them know that, if we do get a solution put in place, that we have that for them, that we can offer that. So,
Good.
so that's a real relief. And I'm trying to think. I think right now, yeah.
The soup, the soup thing?
Yeah, the soup program went fairly well. It wasn't really as popular as we had hoped, but we did about 25 soups between drop off to the Gloucester Housing Authority and people that came here through the drive-through. I didn't have a chance to hop on and watch Mabel and Jerry at all, but hopefully that got a good solid viewership. Jennifer Lee, so I had a nice conversation with Eric Archer from 1623. So the Cape Ann Virtual Senior Center, we're still trying to get some content up on that new channel that we've been given for that Virtual Senior Center. One thing that's helpful for that is that Jennifer Lee,
Could you excuse me just a second? Please, can you put us all on mute, please?
Yeah. We're still trying to get some content up.
For the,
Oh, sorry, Val, wait a minute.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry. I just wanted to say that for the folks that are calling in, we're hearing your side conversations, and
Yeah, that's why I'm muting everyone right now, Val. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So, okay, so the Virtual Senior Center is going to be aided greatly by the fact that the 1623, who had been saying that they wouldn't lend out their equipment, really good equipment to get a good quality, picture up there and get good quality content on that channel. That Fred had a talk because he's on the board at 1623. He spoke with Eric Archer, who gave me a call, and they're gonna give us that equipment on like a long-term loan. So Jennifer Lee Levitz, our 8-hour-a-week videographer, knows that equipment well. She's very excited. She's going to coordinate that with Becky over at 1623, possession of that equipment. She's going to reach out. What we're thinking of right now, and I've got a call at 11:30 this morning with the Virtual Senior Center gang, run it by the rest of the COA directors on Cape Ann and see if anybody already has ideas for like St. Patrick's Day. What Jennifer Lee had thought is maybe we could do like a sing-along. And she said that there was some gentlemen that used to come here that were quite popular that played the ukulele, and the seniors would quite often start singing along to the songs that they would be playing around lunchtime. And she was hoping to reach out and engage with them. And if we can get them in here, properly distanced with ventilation, or maybe find an alternative spot, she can, that the video equipment she's going to be using is mobile enough that she could, we could maybe get them that recorded, and then maybe do like an Irish sing along. And if one of the other COA directors already kind of has dibs on St. Patrick's Day, then we can pivot and just do a regular sing along and maybe distribute some lyrics. But if we could do it for St. Patrick's Day, then maybe we could coordinate it all with another big gift bag distribution, do a drive-through, get the lyrics out that way to folks that can't get down here. We can mail them the lyrics, so everyone can kind of be watching some kind of sing-along programming and singing along. Maybe if it's St. Patrick's Day, we can coordinate either with Senior Care for Meals on Wheels for that caterer to do something, Irish, like maybe a corned beef and cabbage.
They traditionally do.
Reach out to the open door alternatively if Senior Care doesn't do that. So that's kind of in the beginning, kind of seedling, trying to get it to sprout stages. But right now it's hard to tend too many seeds with the massive, with the vaccination is just kind of consuming a lot of resources. Those are the big things, is really vaccine, tax preparation, and the Virtual Senior Center.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, it's farther down, but it's appropriate now. Do you have the telephone facilities in order to receive the calls that need to be answered?
the phone system has still not been addressed or upgraded. I'm talking to more people about it, which is great, Fred. More people are asking me questions about it, about, how bad is it? What are the problems? And I named all the problems off to Brian, and he, I think at that point, maybe understood the situation.
Yeah.
The situation right now with the volume of phone calls that we're now getting as a result of the vaccine and the mayor's robocall yesterday is that it's just kind of heightened it all. It's always been of particular concern to me that when people call in, if we can't get that call and it goes to the auto attendant, whether they call in and we're here and we're just juggling too many phone calls, or if it's after hours or on a weekend, and people do call after hours and on the weekend, because I'm here sometimes and I hear the phone ring. They're getting an auto attendant answer that makes no sense. It lists people that haven't worked here in a really long time. It lists extensions that aren't monitored anymore. It makes absolutely no sense. So, so now with the heavy call volume, making it harder for the staff to get every single phone call and to do that juggling, it's really just ratcheted up the urgency of trying to get our arms around that. But what I'm hearing is that it's not going to be a quick fix, that we have a new phone system that had been purchased long ago. This is all just what I understand, that it had been purchased long ago, but that the building needs to be rewired before it can accommodate the needs of that new phone system. So I think, Fred, and I'm going to continue to try to talk to Ryan as I can. Ryan is our IT director, about maybe some kind of, is there an interim quick fix that could be implemented before the whole big, building needs to be rewired thing. So yeah, so we're kind of wrestling with that. And in the meantime, just doing our best to like put people on hold and get just answer every line before it goes to that auto attendant, because we are, and that's why when we did the mayor's robocall, we specifically told people to call extension 12. That put miss that call, they dial 12, they get Michael's voicemail, and Michael can then clear those voicemails in kind of batches, and those people on the voicemail are at least in some kind of order of who we get back to, so that there's some ability to fairly schedule people. We'll get into all that more with the vaccine conversation, but yeah.
Well, it's only going to get busier.
I know. So and we'll talk about that more with vaccine.
Yeah, I on building and grounds at the library, we had a very similar situation, and the city gave us the equipment, but we couldn't get wired. But we didn't have to employ a city electrician. Instead of the library corporation hired its own electrician, and it was not as difficult as we thought it would be, provided we were willing to look at wires. As long as you're not trying to snake stuff and just simply affix them to baseboard, you end up with wiring. It only took a couple of days. So it may look down and dirty, but we can get wiring.
Aesthetics are not a concern right now.
It is not a complicated fix. Val.
Yeah, and you guys can unmute yourself, I think. I said it so that you can unmute if you want, Val. Yep.
Val?
So my question to Elise is, so what are you exactly helping these folks that are calling you do? And are you allowed to help them make appointments because of HIPAA? Like,
so can we get, the vaccination is all its own agenda item as it deserves to be. So
yeah.
Have we moved on, and are we there yet? I don't have the agenda in front of me. I'm sorry, Val. I just want to kind of.
Oh, no, you're still in your director's report.
Yeah.
I was
right.
Because I'm very interested, because I'm getting calls from seniors that are frustrated.
It's the hot topic, believe me. So yeah, I'm eager to move on to that too. Yeah.
Is there anything further on your director's report?
No.
Right. Rosie, do you have any questions for Elise? Yeah. No. Felicia, any questions for Elise? Susan, you were on mute.
You can all unmute. I've made it so that you can all unmute.
Okay. Susan.
Okay. I just wondered if it would be possible maybe to set this up so you could use somebody else's phone system for the vaccine calls, to make that maybe more streamlined.
I can ask
somebody
IT.
that has a system that could work better, maybe at the city hall or somewhere that has a up-to-date phone system that you could use just for those calls.
The annex is the only one I know of that is properly connected to the city's phone system. Most of City Hall is in the same situation that we are in.
Oh.
But the annex does have modern wiring, and they're taking full advantage of the new system. So I don't, how do we move on that? Susan, what's the next step then?
I'm not sure, it just seems to me that to have it go to all after hours, to just go to the automated, and people aren't going to remember extension 12, even though it was told to them. So I just thought maybe if there was another number that people could call that would allow them to get through to a better system and talk, make it easier for Michael and the people that are handling this.
All right, well, when Elise and I deal with IT next, that'll be up there. That's a good question to ask. Thank you.
Yeah.
Barry, any questions for Elise?
Yes, just one. When I heard the mayor's message yesterday, something caught my ear. The mayor announced, at least on the vocal message that I heard, that it was going to be at senior care.
Yeah. No,
Is that correct?
she's what she said was that they could get information about signing up through senior care. That senior care had been given. Again, that's
Into the next
when we get the
Let's
vaccination
take
when
it
we
to
get
the
to that.
next. Okay.
Yeah.
I need to know the answer on that one, but you're covering it next.
Okay.
Yeah.
Roseanne, any questions for Elise? Roseanne, you're on mute. Elise, can you free
I
Roseanne?
can only ask her to unmute. Rosalie, I think you can speak, Rosalie.
Yeah, I just want to offer my services to Elise. Anything I can do to help answer the phone when they have the flu clinics come down there, help with, direct traffic, whatever. I've done flu clinics for over 20 years. So any help that you need, I'm here for you.
Thank you, Rosalie. My understanding is that to assist with the actual clinics, you have to go through a state mechanism where you offer to volunteer, like for the clinics, but
Yeah.
to assist us upstairs here in the office with like the phones or something, I don't think that does require that. So maybe we can have that conversation offline, because I don't know what kind of permissions I'd need to get you up here in some kind of office space, but would need to keep you safe and would need to keep you far away from the happenings of the clinic, Rosalie.
I belong to that state organization. I think it's MRC or MCR, but I
Medical
belong to
Reserve
that.
Corps, yeah, I'll get to that when we talk about the vaccine. I'm gonna be talking about trying to engage with them.
Okay.
But
Thank
again,
you.
yeah.
One
yeah.
last attempt to get through Roseanne. Roseanne, would you unmute, please? I think.
On the phone, I don't know how that works, Fred. I can click ask to unmute, but I don't know how on her end, how she hears that.
And maybe she has to then
I
come
think she
back
can hear
in.
us. I think she must have muted her own phone because it's still on.
Yeah.
Well, I
Roseanne
muted
has-
everybody because we were getting a bunch of background noise. So I hit mute all, but then it says, do you want people to be able to unmute themselves? And I said, yes, to give you all the ability to unmute yourselves.
So,
Roseanne has trouble with her electricity. She has an electrician there right now. So her Wi-Fi might be a little bit messed up. So she might not be hearing us at this time.
okay, well, I hope if she does, Susan, yes.
I'd be willing to help too, Elise, if you need people.
Thank
I
you,
can
Susan.
answer phones.
Okay.
Um,
I might ask you to help maybe with getting, I'll think of a way. If I can think of a way to put both of you to work, believe me, I will. Because it's, the volume between that and emails, because they gave my email address too for information, and those folks need to be replied. So we'll get there. Let's talk about that when we talk about vaccine.
so we are now moving to vaccines.
We're talking about vaccines. So,
Yeah.
So as a lot of you know, well, actually, let me start from the beginning, because you may not know. So we, for a very long time, when we knew that we were going into phase 2, and when the governor had said that phase 2 was starting on the 1st, he put out that press conference saying you can get information from your local council on aging about how to sign up for phase 2. It was really nice of him to not have told us that he was gonna not tell any council on agings anything that they were supposed to actually tell people. So I did sit in last week on a couple meetings with the Mass Council on Aging and with the Executive Office of Elder Affairs, and they gave some guidance on how to direct people. At that time, we had no idea. I had no idea that we were going to be able to have some ability to offer those vaccinations here at the senior center. All of this has unfolded and continues to unfold very rapidly, very rapidly. So we were sending people to the Massachusetts site that has the map. It's like, where can I get vaccinated? And, you know, there are different, you kind of click through. Susan experienced that you click through and you get to the point where you get to the map and you get the link to the specific Danvers site. And when we're fielding phone calls, we were asking people if they had an email, and we were emailing them that specific Danvers site link, so that to make it easy, you know, as easy as possible. That Danvers site, my understanding, and I was clicking back too, just to see what the availability was on that Danvers site. They continue to schedule to open up new slots as they get supply. Supply is the constraint right now at the state level. My understanding is that the supply is constrained. Right now, that Danvers site stands at no slots available, booked out through like the 14th or the 15th. The next time the state gets some vaccinations that can be allocated to that mass vaccination site, and that is the closest mass vaccination site, is that one in Danvers at the Doubletree Hilton. They're going to open up some new slots after the 14th or the 15th. So there are other mechanisms in play, and that's what might be creating some of that confusion, or that appearance that some people are jumping ahead in line with, like, their, you know, their grouping. The doses, my understanding is that the doses that come through the state mechanism do have to very strictly follow the phased rollout plan, which means that we weren't at 75 plus until we were there, and now we're there. So, however, there are, my understanding, and I think DPH probably has a better handle on this, but from what I understand, is that there have been streams for the vaccine doses that have bypassed the state mechanism, that have come straight from the federal government. For instance, HUD, I think, had the ability to control some, which is why Central Grammar apartments right now have been vaccinated before Gloucester Housing Authority apartments have been vaccinated, because of the funding for that. And that, I think it was HUD related, and they had some kind of access to a stream of vaccine doses that bypassed the state, that came right from the federal feds. So similarly, the VA is offering some clinics, and I've been, this has all kept me very busy and working. I've worked with Adam Kukru and with a VA representative and with the mayor and the mayor's office to get the pieces in place for the VA to be able to use the senior center to offer clinics for our veterans this weekend, all day, Saturday and Sunday. And that's going to be for 65 plus. So right there, you could say, okay, I know some, you know, that now creates the opportunity for someone who doesn't understand the big picture to say, well, I know someone 65 that got it, and how come, and da-da-da. It's because that person probably, you know, was a veteran, or maybe they lived, or somehow they accessed that dose through a stream that bypassed that state mechanism. Now, again, DPH, I think, is going to have way better level of detail than me on that, but that's my kind of grasp of it. So then on Friday, I learned that the senior center, we are going to be able to offer a clinic here Thursday for seniors, and that we are going to be getting 100 doses a week approximately, that we are going to be able to sign people up for clinics that are going to be ongoing here at the senior center. The first one is this Thursday.
Put a date to that, please.
February 4th. And that's going to be from 9 until 2. And what the first 100 doses are going to be administered, and there's going to be an additional 80 doses that were left over, I believe, from phase 1. And so we're going to have 180 doses that can be administered here on Thursday. Those were divided up because it's the very first amount, and you've got the speed and the ease of being able to do it here in Gloucester. Those were divided up, and 60 were allocated to senior care for them to use their knowledge of their own population that they serve to do some outreach and reach the people who kind of in some kind of fair manner that they can kind of control to get their 60 doses to. Similarly, the Gloucester Housing Authority is given 60. Now, again, my understanding is that Gloucester Housing Authority, they're on the next bullet point down. If you look at the state's phased rollout, it's 75 plus, and then right after that, and this all changed last minute. It was supposed to be housing authorities were getting vaccinated before we went to the whole 75 plus population, but then that changed. It all is changing all the time. So that changed, and me getting wind of that changing was on Friday. But in spite of that, Dave Holden is being given 60 doses that he can also kind of control and allocate, again, based on his knowledge of his population there at senior housing. Now, after being on a call yesterday with Scott Trenty and Dave Holden and DPH and everybody, my understanding of what the two of them, that what they're doing is that they're pooling their 60 each kind of together, because they know that they're serving, there's so much overlap between who senior care is serving and who the housing authority is serving, that they want to pool their doses and work together. They had some question about whether or not they were going to be able to get the 60 who wanted to take it and who are ready to take it here on Thursday by then. So if they can't, there may be some net mechanism for me for the 60 that we were allocated that we can control. That number might be able to go up for this Thursday. Maybe. My understanding also is that the next, anyone that we can't fit in for this Thursday, we're then going to schedule, we're going to put on a waiting list, because the next clinic that we're going to offer here at the senior center is going to be the week of the 15th. The reason that it can't be sooner, can't be the next week, is because next week we're going to do the second doses for the first responders. So next week, second doses are going to be administered for all of those phase 1 folks in that first responder group that we had served here, and not just first responders, but also home health aides and some medical professionals, and also people for whom getting that second dose has a clear benefit to our seniors. As it all does. It all has a clear benefit for our seniors. So, so that's happening next week. And then the following week, starting the week of the 15th, exact date and times still TBD, we will do our next vaccination clinic of our 75 plus population through a registration process that we will be able to have some control of. And that'll be about 100 doses, and then we'll have about 100 doses thereafter, like on an ongoing kind of rolling basis to keep going. And all of this, there are also other mechanisms by which people are able to access the vaccine. We're not the only game in town. So Leahy Health, my understanding is that Leahy Health primary care physicians, people that have a primary care with Leahy Health, they got a letter inviting them to go to a clinic that's taking place at the Elks Lodge on the back shore. And I don't know a lot about that, except that it's helping and it's happening. And that's just another kind of way that people can access it. So at first, when I was first kind of told about the ones that we can control for this Thursday, I thought that we were being called upon, as was senior care and Gloucester Housing, to use our knowledge of this population to try to reach those people who we knew to be the neediest, the people that really would need that, who absolutely can't get on the computer, who have nobody that can help them, and for whom telling them to get to Danvers, you might as well tell them to get to the moon. That I thought that we were going to be able to use that to conduct some targeted outreach. That was kind of the impression, but again, this is all evolving very rapidly. The phone call that we had yesterday, where we kind of got to a more finer level of detail with all this, was that really everybody in the community who's 75 plus has an equal right to access that vaccine here at the senior center. Everybody really is equal, and that the decision at that point was made that the mayor was going to talk about it in the robocall, and people, if they do get services through senior care, they are encouraged to call senior care and utilize that mechanism, because we're going to continue to work with senior care. Senior care has the 60 that they can control for this Thursday. And folks can call them if they are senior care clients. And that would be a good thing if they did, because the volume, and I knew that this was going to happen, the volume that we got after that robocall went out was just kind of off the charts of everybody else kind of. So also, as this continues to unfold, more mechanisms are going to open up. My understanding is that CVS and Walgreens are also going to get the ability to offer some vaccines. Their sites are already on that Massachusetts map. But if you try to click through. It's just not working yet because they don't have their doses yet. And they don't have that mechanism in place to be doing that. But, oh, there's Karen, yay. So, hey, Karen. So, so where we are at right now is that we have not really been conducting any of that targeted outreach. After yesterday's discussion with DPH, which Karen can speak to more if she wants to, we realized that it really needed to be, the way to make it the most fair would be for it to be just kind of ordering people as they approached us. So we already had a list of people that had approached us before we knew that we were even going to offer it here at the senior center, who had called us and who had expressed an inability to get on a computer at all or to get to Danvers at all. And we told those people that we weren't sure, because we weren't at the time, that we weren't sure, but that we were going to take their name and number and get back to them because we hoped to have some better information for them, and we didn't know if we were going to have any ability to give them a better solution than getting to Danvers and all that stuff. So we have now ordered those folks who reached out to us and expressed that inability to access that Danvers mass vaccination site. We're reaching back out to those folks now in order. We now have the link to actually sign people up. I made a good whack at that list last night, getting people actually signed up and registered for Thursday. Anne's going to help out with that today. That's why I asked her to come in today to help with the phones. And what we're doing is when the phones lit up after the robocall went out, those all went to Michael's voicemail. And that voicemail had the ability to at least put some order to those people. You know what I mean? So when Michael cleared his voicemail, it was just in order that they're on there. And now they're going into a spreadsheet. We're still working on getting back to the folks that called us, weeks ago when phase 2 was first announced, and who already told us before they even knew we were given it, had the ability to give it here, who already said, I can't do it. I'm worried. I can't get to Danvers. I can't get on a computer. We're trying to get back to those folks. Then next in line will be getting back to the folks that all came pouring in once that robocall went out, which means Michael's voicemail from all the people that called last night after we were closed because the phones were just ringing off the hook. We let it all just go to voicemail as I was sitting here trying to clear out some of those people that had reached out to us before the robocall went out. Simultaneously, my email was also given out, so those are already ordered because those came in by email. So my plan for today is going to be to get out a mass email reply to all the people that contacted me via email and just say something like, if you're getting this, it's because you reached out to us. We understand, that we're asking you to be patient, and we understand that you are eager to get the vaccine. We're going to kind of just a message that more or less just says, we're going to get back to you. It just might take us a little bit of time. In the meantime, with the volume that we have received, it is becoming clear to me, and like I said, I asked Ann to come in to help out with that volume, but it is becoming clear to me that some additional resources handle that process of getting back to people, because after me sitting here last night until 7:30 signing people up through the prep mod system and seeing how long each one of those phone calls takes, and this whole population of everybody asking for this to happen down here, very few of them can get on the internet. And we start with that question: can you get to the internet? And to see if maybe we can send them the prep mod link, because if they have any internet ability at all, and we're going to do that. We're going to tell them that prep mod link is for them and it's not to be shared. But we haven't gotten a lot of that. Most of the people that are contacting us because they don't go on the internet. So we're having to go through that process, and it takes a little bit of time to go through all of that and to get them actually registered and get them their time to come in here. But the good news is that we know that we've got those 60 spots are ours, and we'll get them filled up. We're going to powwow again tomorrow with DPH and with Senior Care and Gloucester Housing Authority to see how everybody's doing on their kind of allotment of 60, so that we can then kind of take a look at the big picture and figure out what to do, not only for this Thursday, but then the folks that we can't accommodate this Thursday, then going to be ordered and kind of first in line to be contacted and be registered for whatever that next clinic is that we know will be the week of the 15th, but we just don't know the exact date and time quite yet. so glad you're here on this call right now, Karen, to correct me if anything I'm saying is wrong. This is all my best grasp of all of this very rapidly evolving situation.
Right.
But the phones are still ringing a lot. We're trying to still do a quick assessment of whether or not somebody has the ability to just be sent that link to the Danvers Doubletree Hilton site, because if they can still go through the Massachusetts mechanism and access that site, and if they are okay with being patient for a few more weeks, and if they're not like, freaking out, and they can be patient and wait till that Doubletree Hilton site lists some more spots available, which is going to happen once they get some more vaccines, then we're encouraging people to do that. But if they express any resistance for any reason, whether it's lack of ability to use the internet, get to Danvers, or they just plain don't want to, they want it here from the senior center, then we're not pushing back on that resistance. Then they just go in line, they get in the queue, and we're doing our best to keep that queue fair, and in some kind of order that's like it got some kind of time related order, for lack of any better system, because right now with how rapidly this is all rolling out, I don't think anybody has the time to get into any greater issues of subjective definitions of fairness.
Okay.
So
Elise,
we're doing the best we can.
on a pause, and I welcome Karen Carroll. You have the floor, Karen.
Oh, I mean, Elise has got it. She's done a fantastic job with like very little notice, jumped right in. I definitely support you in getting some help with your phones, whether it's some MRC or some council on aging volunteer, whoever can help you, because you will continue. Now you're it. Now you're the person in town that can help seniors, and we're directing calls to you guys. So it's a huge burden. I wish we had, 1,000 appointments this week instead of 180, but hopefully that volume will pick up. And our planning team is looking at bigger sites for when the volume of vaccine does pick up. We're also looking at partnering with other people that seem to be able to access vaccine, like pharmacists and Beauport Ambulance, those kinds of places. So we're trying to expand that pipeline as fast as we can, but it's going to be really tough for a few weeks. And even when you help people refer them to the mass websites, there's no appointments there either. So right now it's just really frustrating for everybody. But I think Elisa's system is great. At least there is a system. At least there is a list. And 2 weeks from now, or it'll actually be 3 weeks by the time we get back for our second clinic for seniors with 200 doses, we may find that a lot of them were cleared, that went through Leahy, their doctor offered it, or they're a veteran and they could go to that clinic Saturday. And so, hopefully in time we'll get to people. But right now it's just the way it is. So.
Karen, can you speak on any questions of transportation?
Mm-hmm. Again, we really just deferred to our senior serving partners. So we said to Elise and to Scott Trenty, here's your appointments. Go for it. Whatever people need, let us know. If they need translators, they need transportation. So they are handling it, and they will let us know if they need more help. We have CADA, we have Beauport Ambulance. We have a small account with Beauport Ambulance that can bring people. I don't know. We have our Seniors on the Go bus, different options for transportation. We'll have to figure out if that's a barrier, but we don't want that to be a barrier if people want to come and they're on the list. But again, we're deferring to our senior partners to figure that out and then just let us know what they need.
Felicia, has anybody been in touch with you for expansion of service?
For Gloucester, Carol McNair contacted dispatch yesterday, and we're going to have an extra van floating around on Thursday to help with that clinic. I don't know details. Dispatch has that. That's who's reached out to us in Gloucester. One of our other communities reached out, but that's Hamilton. But whatever CADA can do, whether it's in town or if we need to coordinate something, out of town, we're willing to do that.
Fantastic. Thank you.
That goes to your planning group, Karen.
Is that who you mean called you? Carol McMahon from our group set this up? So I just want to make sure everybody knows about it. It's fantastic, and I didn't, but
No, Carol,
Why you come to these meetings?
Senior Care. Senior Care called us.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, so Elise, you
Yep.
now know about that too. Great.
Yeah, and we people basically and the scheduling, we only started to scratch the surface of actually,
Yep.
saying to people, this is your time, can you get here? And so far, nobody has needed it, so that's great, but I'm sure that they will let us know and we will ask, can you get here? And
Okay.
we make sure that we tell people to not come too early because we can only fit so many people in the building. We don't want folks, especially if they're getting dropped off to, and all that stuff. So Fred, I recognize that you have a question or a comment, but I did want to get back to something Barry had asked a little bit earlier too. So I don't know in what order you want to do that, but
Val had a comment you want to make?
yeah.
Yeah, I've got a question. First of all, thank you, Elise and Karen. Amazing, comprehensive overview of dealing with a lot of moving parts. So thank you very much. So my question is, I always think that the most important information that we can give out is a repeat of what the mayor gives out, because that has all the updated links for everything. And my question to all of us is, in our roles as overseeing the Facebook pages of Council on Aging, of the Friends, of Senior Care, of Gloucester Housing on Aging, of Adam Kukuru, the veterans, how can we help oversee that information is like clockwork being updated on all those different websites? Because everyone looks at all those. I mean, I know yesterday I took the mayor's message and I put it right on my Ward 4 page, right away. So now I know at least what I have out there is accurate, it's timely, and it's the most recent links to everything that we know we need to do. So I think that's a big component. And I'd just like to mention that to Karen, because you're the oversight person for getting this right information out. So that's just.
So Val, should we try to ask the mayor's office to set up like a distribution list so it gets to you faster? Or do you just does everybody see those press releases as soon as they come out?
So I subscribe to it, number one, and then Vanessa and Nicole both give the council a heads up to everything that's going on. So the council is well protected. But those other 6 agencies that I just mentioned, they all have another network of ways to get this information out for people that might not be like Val Gilman, who signs up for everything regardless. And I have the backup of the mayor. So I just think that information, if we could, we've mentioned 5 different organizations helping. If we can just be assured that same linkage of all that current information with a link, it's going to be live links. It can't be screenshots,
Right.
So they can hit the button to the DoubleTree, or they know that the default is to call Elise and number 12 if they're having problem. Everything needs to be out there.
Yeah, no, that's a great reminder. I will send that press release out to our COVID task force, which represents like every agency in town. So great idea. Thank you.
And remind them to post it immediately.
Post it,
on whatever Facebook page or websites.
Yep.
I mean, I just looked at the Friends right now, and the Friends, the last information was like before Christmas, and so we just need to get that out.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll get that, Val.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Moving back to Elise, you had a question that you wanted, or a statement you wanted to make?
Well, Barry had asked if we had a mechanism to help people to sign up to use the Danvers, to access the Danvers site, right? I think I understand that question, Barry. And at first, when we didn't know we were having one here, and it remains relevant. So we're still kind of, and the answer is yes, we have been cleared to set up dummy emails for people, because that was a big issue, was people that would, if someone is saying to us, I'm glad to go to Danvers, and this isn't happening a lot, but everybody's, it's a little bit of chaos theory because there's so many variables to every single person's life. So if someone says to us, I can get to Danvers and I can wait, I'm fine with that. I just can't I just don't use the computer, and no one in my life uses the computer either. That's their only barrier. Then we've been given the green light just to use that Danvers mechanism, it requires an email. So we've been given the ability and the green light to set up dummy emails for people that we can just use like one. We can use like vaccination one is the password for every one of these, and we can have that be a convention that we follow. That'll be the person's name and phone number or something like that. We haven't needed it yet, but if we get to the point where where we're full up with what we can offer here at the senior center, but maybe Danvers all of a sudden releases a whole bunch more like slots available, and the phones light up again with people who are monitoring that Danvers site or who hear that through the grapevine or whatever, if that becomes people's best bet, and the only barrier to them is that they don't have the ability to go on the internet, and nor does anyone else in their life. We've thought through a mechanism for that. We haven't used it yet, Barry. I think that was your question.
That answers it.
Thank you, Elise. Susan, you have something to say?
Yeah, one of the things that frustrates me is you get the robocall from the mayor, and usually she talks before long enough that my answering machine doesn't record all of it. So I go out to the city website, and up there it says core, the 19, and you click on it and you get this list of stuff. It seems to me that when you click on that, you ought to go to what her latest robocall or announcement was, instead of going to a list of everything you've seen every time you've been out there. And that would make it much more efficient for people that just get something through text, because I'll get a text message from her. And if I click on that, it goes to the city's page, and then you click on the thing at the top and you get the whole list of everything, her proclamation and the rest of it. And it seems to me that all I want when I do that is to be able to read what she just said.
Yep.
Right.
I would add to that, in that it's happened now more than once, so it can't be an accident. There are portions of the mayor's statement that get garbled. And it falls often when she's giving specific instructions, a website where she's reading it, and it begins to break up enough that it's unintelligible. I'm wondering if there could be someone who listens to what she has recorded before it goes out. I have a sense that it's probably going out cold. Does anybody else have that experience listening to those messages? Barry's nodding his head.
Yeah.
So that's an unnecessary frustration that the mayor would have to endure of people being annoyed at her because they can't understand her when it's a technical glitch.
I would circle back to Nicole or Vanessa in the mayor's office and give them this feedback, because I think they'd want to know.
Because it's interesting, the vast majority of her message is clear as a bell, and then it goes to hell. And why, I don't understand, but it does. And it's often a crucial information too, which is just really strange. I don't know. Okay.
Fred, they do listen to it at City Hall after she does it. So I'm wondering if it's just some technical issues that different people are getting in terms of reception.
Okay, then that can't be helped then. Okay.
But it's a good question to ask, just to
it's happened to me now.
Because I know Enza does listen to her calls. I know that for a fact. So, but it.
Okay, well.
But I think it's important that, if you can't hear it, you immediately can get easy access to what was said on the website as well, so you have it coming both ways.
Right, and that it be clear, because I agree with Susan, when you click the thing, because I'm quite often going through the text too, like if I miss the call, I'm using the text mechanism and following that link. And I find that too, Susan, I agree that it's not that, to me, it would be helpful, and I'll get this feedback to the mayor's office. It would be helpful if it were more immediately, like at the top in the center, that here's the mayor's most recent, robocall or whatever. But so I'll use my mechanisms to get that feedback to them too. But anybody else that wants to provide that same feedback, that you think that most recent message could be a little bit more front and center and clearer, that's what to click on to get that most recent message. If any other mechanisms to deliver that same message, I'm sure would just strengthen the message.
Okay. Elise, is that it for the subject for you? While you're thinking, let me go around the table to see. Rosalie, any questions for Elise? Susan, anything further?
No, I'm all set, thanks.
Val, anything further?
Nothing further. Thank you.
Alicia?
No, but I do agree with Susan about fixing where that link takes you in the text messages.
Barry?
I have no input.
Karen? Suzanne Silvera, anything that you'd like to ask? Still can't hear. Frozen screen. Okay, we tried. All right, let's see.
So Fred, who is the action item to go back to the mayor with this? Is it Karen?
Which subject is that now?
Elise said she was going to.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so it's
I will,
Elise's
but
action. Okay.
if
Just wanted to
anyone
make
else-
sure.
Yeah, if anyone else would like to strengthen that message, just because there's your position as a COA board member, but there's your position as a constituent too. And I think just as a constituent who's frustrated by that, that you certainly could deliver that message as well if you wanted to.
Yeah, I think brief, to the point, and without anger, we should all be communicating regularly. To presume that because we know that other people know is not fair. And one of the services we can do, but they need to be brief and clear, is all. We cannot run on. One of the problems that Elise is encountering that I'm hearing is very typical with the hotline work I did in Boston for a long time. And that is to help people put a box around their issue so that the next time they talk about it, they take a third the length of time. It's at least hearing someone's tale of woe before she can finally be helpful is really not productive, and it's exhausting as well, because you end up by adopting the people's issues, and we need to try and help her and others learn to be brief, particularly in this period of time.
And can I circle back to the action item of letting the mayor's office know about that?
Yeah.
I gotta stop myself from saying I'll do it, because like I really have my plate like super full right now. Can someone else, Susan, can some other board member get that message to the mayor's office?
I'll be happy to.
That
Thank
would
you,
be so
Susan.
helpful. Thank you, Susan.
Yeah, see, at least you're learning.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
You'll be 75 before you know it.
Right. Conduct the orchestra. Don't play the instruments. That's what I gotta
Isn't
keep
it
telling
amazing?
myself. Yeah.
I have never thought in my whole life that I would want to be 75, because I'm not. Very antithetical.
You'll be
Okay,
up to
let's
bat
see.
soon, Fred.
Are we done with this subject? Moving on? Cool. Let's, the webpage and the resource guide. Susan.
Well, we met almost 2 weeks ago, and we talked about the need to get that out as soon as possible. So Barry's been working on adding I can't think of the element care to the list, and he's gotten that taken care of, and he needs to get it reviewed. But I think we need to get it out for review as soon as we possibly can, so that it gets out on the website while it's still current and in need. And, you know, it'd be nice to have videos from everybody, but even if we don't have that, I think the group agreed we need to just get it posted. And rather than wait for our own website, which will take a while, the working group thought we should put it on the city's COA website and then put a link to it on Facebook so that people could get to it fairly easily. Barry can update you on what he's done with the document and where it's at. And the other thing that we talked about was the report from the consultant with the suggestions. And we thought it would be good to have her do a presentation to the Friends, since they will be financing this, and they should know what the options are and how much they're willing to put into this or think is necessary. So that's where that stands. And I think Elise was going to set that up. So I'm going to turn it over to Barry so he can talk about where he is with the resource guide. I think he covered most of it in the opening statement, but if he has anything else to add, this would be a good time.
Barry?
My only input, I covered it all earlier. My only input at this point, listening to what Elise is going through, I know what Karen is going through. And with the rollout of the pandemic vaccines, that's going to consume, especially because of Elise's handicap with that telephone system, the ability to work with us on this. My only suggestion at this point to Elise is, Elise, delegate more stuff like Susan just picked up those things, and feel free to pick up the phone, email me if you need something to delegate. I guess my point is, maybe we ought to back off on this a little bit and have our working groups just keep plugging away at the items, because I don't think we want to take our eye off the ball, which is getting people vaccinated and opening up our world, if you will.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here. Yeah.
That makes sense, but I think people need to have some relief of doing something positive and parallel to COVID, because much like dealing with HIV, it always seemed to be very frustrating because we were so close and yet so far. I wouldn't want you all to have to endure that emotional weight that I did. So I like the idea that something as wonderfully progressive, Barry, is what you and Susan are working with. I'd like you to keep plugging on that. And when other people need something creative to think about or to contribute for, they can break away from COVID for a while to a going concern. Does that make sense?
No, it makes total sense, Fred. I'm not saying if we want to move it forward, I'll turn to Elise and say, Elise, delegate it to myself and Susan. Let us meet with the IT people and let's get it up on the city website. Even if we don't have the videos in it, and even if it's not perfect, we at least get it up there. It's current, as Susan says.
Yeah.
And we're done.
And Barry, I am the bottleneck in that. So if somebody does want to reach out to IT, I suspect that after you get past the bottleneck, that would be me. And I do delegate it to you and I say, okay, please go speak with IT. I just warn you that I wouldn't be surprised if there were bottlenecks with IT right now because of everything that they've got on their plate with setting up Prep Mod and setting up all these different sites and doing just all the stuff, you know what I mean, that we're asking them to do. So I really appreciate your sensibility. I appreciate what you said too, of course, Fred, and understand both of those kind of points of view or ways of looking at it. I don't think they're mutually exclusive at all. I just think that everybody does have an extraordinary amount on their plates right now. Yes. With the vaccine rollout. So
Val, what you have something to say?
I just want to make just a suggestion. So I think the delegation is really good to members of council, but perhaps the missing link is, I think if Elise is a staff member, as is Karen. So I would suggest that Elise makes the introduction. For example, if you decide that you want to allow both Barry and Susan to be the contact to IT, if you make the general introduction and then just ask to be kept copied on what goes on, then it's staff talking to staff and they know that you're staying, in the loop as a CC. And I think that might be a perfect way to establish kind of a protocol for volunteers on this board who want to get involved with things that just because I think, it's a tough balance right now. And I just think that would be a good way to handle it.
Okay, thank you. Karen, are there any controlling issues that we're not addressing in terms of delegation areas that can't be delegated or shouldn't be?
That's right.
Karen?
I just think that would be a way to handle it. Thank you.
I don't know. I think it's would be under Elise, and I agree to, that work has to happen through Elise and the IT. Susan has some ideas too.
I think that it's important that we get this thing out and renewed as soon as possible.
Okay, hang on just for a second. Roseanne, are you back connected to us now?
I am.
Good. I don't know, did you lose a lot of audio or have you been listening to all of this conversation?
No, I was able to listen the whole entire time. So what I finally did, because you didn't refer to me in your last roll call, I knew that you didn't think I was here, so I just hung up and then went back on again, and I was able to get on with being able to hear what you said, and now you can hear what I say.
Yeah, great. So you now have the floor to any questions to Elise that occur to you?
I think she was pretty clear that, if I understand it correctly, that she has 60 doses, first come, first serve. They've got a list. They're servicing those people. They have senior care will have 60. The housing authority will provide 60 people, and they will all come this Thursday. Then 2 weeks from Thursday, 200 doses will be released.
Okay. Susan.
Can we get back to the resource document? Because I think
Hang on just 1 second. Roseanne, I think we're getting feedback. Could you put yourself on mute, please?
Sure.
Either that or Roseanne, I think we have a hard time getting you back after we put you on mute. There's an old fashioned way to mute where you put your hand over the audio part of your phone if you're on the phone. Because yeah,
Right.
We're hearing some extraneous noise, I think, that's coming from your connection. But I worry about losing you if we use that mute mechanism, because I think we have a hard time getting you back after that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I hung up and came back on. But yeah, I'm here by myself. There isn't a peep, so it's not in here.
Perhaps
But it
it's
might
Suzanne.
just be interference.
Perhaps it's Suzanne. Could you put yourself on mute, please? Okay, Susan, go ahead.
okay, I think somebody's still talking.
It's feedback.
I put it on mute and I'm still hearing that
Is it
background noise.
okay from an open meeting law?
No,
Can
it's
I
not
mute
me.
Suzanne?
Mute
'Cause I
them.
think-
Yes,
Mute
Okay.
everyone, yes.
Okay,
good. Now,
Okay.
okay.
Okay, I agree with Barry that there's a lot going on and that COVID has to take first. But I think that at the same time, as you said, Fred, we need some distraction.
yeah, we do.
I'm pretty upbeat, and yet this past few days, it's really gotten to me. So I assume other people, it's probably gotten to even worse. So I think that the idea of having other things to worry about is probably good. And I'd like to suggest that we send out the resource directory for review. And Elise, rather than have the letter go out with everybody getting back to you, it might make good sense for them to get back to Barry, or if Barry doesn't want that responsibility, to get back to me, where he's done all the work on the document. He'd be the one that would want to make the edits and the change, and would be the knowledgeable person to work with the reviewers. And if they don't have time to review it, they won't review it. But at least it's something that we could get ready so that it's approved, and as soon as it's ready to be posted, then we'll worry about that and try and get it done.
Thank
So
you.
that would be my recommendation.
Yes, agreed.
I agree.
Barry, yes, please.
I'll be happy to be that interface. I agree 100% with Susan. To Val's point, I worked in the city structure, Val, for so long.
I know.
I work under that system of keeping everybody in the loop. And that's why I turned to Elise and I said, Elise, if you delegate it to us, it would be a natural extension. Anything we did would be sent to Elise a day or two before we did anything, so that she's always in the loop and she can say, oh, slow down on that. The one thing I would ask right now to her is, if we're going to move forward, simply give us the contact I would ask her through an email to make the contact to the person at IT. And she would thus know. We'd meet, then we'd feed back to her what went on.
Are we at the point of reaching out to IT, or are we at the point of the letter going out to people? Can you guys refresh my memory on the letter? Because
I think we're ready for the letter. You have a copy of it, but Barry can certainly send you another. But I think the first step is to get it reviewed, because why get IT involved until we have something for them to do?
Think of
Right now,
IT
we'd just be
as,
taking their time.
think of IT as saffron for those who cook. Hmm?
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's nice to reach out to them and let them know this is coming, but I don't think right now that's a good use of their
Exactly.
time. So
Yeah.
when we have the document ready to be posted, I think that's when we need to reach out to IT and get them involved.
Yeah, and I will be working aggressively to get the necessary wiring in order to get a functioning new telephone system. And I can do that in concert with IT without taking IT's time and energy.
Sounds good.
Because IT will be directing, again, IT will be delegating work that needs to be done. It doesn't have to be IT people. I know that because of the library.
so what do I need to do right now? Do I need to find that letter? Do I need to, can I delegate that letter, getting the letter out to people officially to you guys right now?
Yes.
Hi.
Yes, and you,
Please, thank you.
yeah. We'll just change the contact from you to Barry, and then
Oh,
it'll
Barry,
go
thank
out.
you. That's Barry. No kidding. Thank you.
That's
problem.
awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Wonderful. This is a great group. I'll tell you. Really. Wow. Let's see. Are we done on the page? Moving on then.
I think so.
Partnership with 1623 Studios and the Virtual Senior Center. And can I be further help with that in terms of working from 1623's perspective? I brought it up at the last 1623's directors meeting, so it's in their minutes, and they are aware that this is a project that is of considerable interest to you.
Not right now, Fred, but as things unfold, there may be additional opportunity, to ask you for your assistance. I think right now, just, right now, one of my biggest hurdles is trying to get people who are qualified to run some kind of like exercise class. We want to get some movement-based opportunities on there for folks. And some of my, I'm having right now with everything else that's going on, I'm having a hard time just kind of finding people. The woman that used to do our Tai Chi wants what seems to me to be a lot of money. Like the woman that does our Chair Yoga Plus doesn't even know if she wants to be on TV. I need people who would be willing to be videoed doing some kind of senior appropriate exercise, and they would be okay with that going on the Virtual Senior Center. And we are willing, the Friends, and I don't even need to ask the Friends permission. It's such a low amount. we can pay these folks for their time, but we're just looking for someone I'm looking for it to be reasonable. I mean, I'm talking to folks and they're saying, well, if that's going to air 5 times, then shouldn't I be paid, 5 times for that hour of my time? And I'm like, no, you're putting in an hour of your time to do that. We're going to record you. And so I'm just looking for people who can see their way clear to being fair. We want to be fair and remunerate exercise instructors for their time. But if people are looking for, $100 every time we're going to have it air, then I just don't know if that does make sense. So if anybody has any assistance, knows anybody, we're trying to go back to the people that taught here at the Senior Center, just because they have that familiarity, which is just a wonderful component of anything right now, is things that are familiar and from the before times. But if anybody does know anybody out there who has any kind of credential that would make them appropriate to offer some kind of exercise, any kind of movement-based anything for seniors, if you wanted to talk to that person and say, hey, would you be willing to be videoed to be on the Virtual Senior Center? Just something that I would ask you all to kind of chew on and keep in the back of your mind and think about as you go about your days.
Wow.
Elise, can I ask a question?
Yes,
Please,
please.
Roseanne, yeah.
Roseanne.
I wanted to know if you had anything planned for Valentine's. I had a thought on that I wanted to share.
We don't yet,
Um,
Roseanne. We had talked about a couple things, but everything's kind of gone out the window with staff resources being completely consumed by vaccines. So I would love an idea. Yeah.
Okay, you have access to the 1623 channel. I didn't know if there's something that you could have, whether it was a short video or something on Valentine's Day, and maybe have people register. I know you've got the phones going crazy, but even if you took everyone's name and just put it in a hat that is a member of the senior center, and say that you're going to draw off 6 boxes of chocolates or 6 flowers or something, even 10, just something to get people used to tuning into the 1623 channel, and let them know, you know, you're thinking of them, or it's just kind of a happy thing and something else to look forward to. And you wouldn't have to have people coming to the senior center. It wouldn't be a drive-through. It wouldn't be as much work.
I would be
just a thought.
I love that. It breaks my heart to not have something in line to do for our seniors for Valentine's Day. That being said, I would be very hesitant to do anything right now that would make those phones ring any more than they're ringing right now. Because if you were sitting here with me hearing the phones ring, you'd all cry on my behalf. It is insane here right now.
Right.
But if there is something that we could think of that would bypass that
Is
phone
there any way-
mechanism.
Is there any way that you can take the names of all the members of the senior center?
We've got the database that has everybody. We can dump that information out into an Excel spreadsheet and maybe ask Excel to run a random select of like 10 names or something. I think Excel has that capability, but that none of my staff has the technical skill to do that. That would fall to me, and I would have to do a little bit of poking around to try to remember how to do a random select on Excel. And yeah, so.
Once again, all of the board members have professed an interest in helping.
Yeah.
I know Rosalie's terrific, Barry, Susan, everyone on our board is so willing to help and say, delegate, we want to do these things. We want to be a part of it. So somebody could certainly take the ball and run with that and just take it right off of your back.
Roseanne, can you do that?
I can't do it from here.
Rosalie, can you do that? I think I lip read, it says I can't, I don't have time. That's right. You see,
It's too short a notice. That's it too. You know, I just don't have time right now, but I think it's an awesome idea.
But let me ask, how many members are there to the senior center?
I want to say in the ballpark of maybe 3,000. We've got 1,600 email addresses that we email to.
Would you be able to print the names, and somebody like Rosalie would cut them all in strips, and then you put them all in a hat and you know, a bag or whatever, and pull out the names on camera?
I can't right now.
No,
I can't. I can't. I just can't. If the board wants to do something for Valentine's Day, I need to be out of the equation because I just can't.
Susan.
Why don't we just get a bucket of numbers, okay? And then pull out numbers randomly. And then the list in the database must be numbered, and whoever corresponds to that number is the winner.
There you go. Is the database numbered?
I don't know if there is a unique numeric identifier as a field in the database. But I mean,
we have a number on our cards?
There must be, but I don't know, because since I've worked here, there hasn't been cards.
We're getting into the weeds. This is something that is going to be decided and presented outside of Elise's sphere. She's going to be basically given a report if and when this can happen. Elise can't be doing this. This is wartime. This is wartime.
Yeah, it can't take Elise's time.
No.
But, you know, I don't know anything about your database, so I'm not sure I could do it by
I
the
could get you
15th.
sign-in credentials, Susan. You could sign in under my name if you want to poke around in there. Just, it
Cool.
would have to be, that's all I could do, would be give you my sign-in credentials so you could poke around in there and just kind of see what my senior center is all about if you wanted to.
Yeah, I could try that. I don't guarantee results, but I can give it a look
Wonderful.
and see if I can do it.
And I can be your contact person rather than going to Elise. If you need to dump something or get a question answered or need help by somebody in the city, please go through me.
Okay.
Cool.
Awesome, awesome.
Good. So there's a light in the end of the Valentine's Day tunnel, because I agree.
Good.
Again, it's
I think,
something
yeah.
Yeah, I
people need.
agree with what you said before, Fred, about people, and Susan said the same thing. Everyone's starting to feel a little down, and it seems a shame to let 6 weeks or 8 weeks go by without doing something to kind of perk people up a little.
Absolutely, I agree. Couldn't
Yeah, and
agree
that's
more.
why we're trying to make sure that we have a solid plan for St. Patrick's Day, to do something that's pretty comprehensive with a, with song and food and maybe a gift distribution. So we've got some time with that, and and I may be asking the board to take on some of that I can think of to delegate, because again, all of that, and that I love St. Patrick's Day. That would be so wonderful, and I think we do need to do that. I'm going to continue, we're going to continue to be resource constrained because of the vaccine situation. So, so I'll think of things that after my 11:30 meeting with the virtual senior center group, if I can think of things that I can push out to any of you guys, I will be asking you to accept some of that. That'd be great.
Okay, let's see. We've talked a lot about the phone system, but that's my job. Anybody have anything on your mind for next month's agenda? That there's a lot on this agenda that will be carried over. Putting an agenda together is no heavy lifting these days, because it's all much building on the same thing. But anything new that anyone wants to put on the agenda, like, you don't have to make your final decision now, but just drop a line to me in time so that the agenda that Elise posts carries the subject on it. My note here says that the next scheduled meeting would be Tuesday, March the 2nd at 9:30. Is there any reason anybody can't do that? Cool. Going around the table one more time for any issues that have come to your mind since we started that you'd want to deal with. Rosalie, anything that you want to add? Okay.
I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you. Felicia, anything that you want to say or add that's come to mind?
No, just as we move through this, if Kata can be of assistance with transportation, just let us know.
Cool. Your drivers, do they fall into phase 2 or 3?
We're in phase 2. We're on a list with MassDOT, so I'm hoping it gets here sooner rather than later.
Do you think you may have a vaccine stream specifically for Kata?
I think we're going to have one coming through MassDOT.
Sweet, you see?
Yep.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Wonderful. Val, anything further on your mind?
No, the only thing that is bothering me a bit is that I'm missing Bob Quinn and Selma Bell, and I was wondering if you wanted me to reach out to them and just kind of go over how they can call in if they don't think that they can get on an iPad or something. I miss their presence, and Zoom stuff might be just a little bit overwhelming. So
great. That would be sweet of you. Thank you. Yes, please do.
I talked to Selma Bell after the last meeting and explained to her how to call in, and she said she didn't think that was her thing.
She never changes, but I do miss her. I do.
I told her we all did, and she seemed to be in good spirits, and I promised her I'd call after this meeting, so I will be in touch with her.
Awesome. Thank you, Susan.
Barry, anything further on your mind?
I'm just going to jump on with Val. Val, if you can reach out to Bob and ask him to set up, or you set up with him and bring me in, and possibly we can talk him through and get him comfortable with it. I've been thinking about it for weeks now, and I haven't gotten to it. But if you do it, put me on the Zoom meeting, and we'll try and work him through, because he was with us in the earlier meetings, but he just couldn't overcome the audio issue.
Yeah.
okay, I'll be happy to do that with Bob, and it sounds like Susan is helping Selma, so that's good.
Suzanne, can you hear us now? You're on mute.
Elise, can you release her mute?
I asked to unmute. I can't unmute her, but I can ask to unmute.
There she is.
I'm all set now. I'm just sitting here listening and learning.
Good. Remind you that have you been sworn in?
No, I have to call Joanne.
Yeah. Okay. So do I. Barry, have you been sworn in?
Not yet. I'll be sending over the paperwork today, talk to her.
Great.
I'd like to say hello to Suzanne. I haven't seen her, and we worked in the city structure for a lot of years together. So happy to have you aboard, Suzanne.
Thank you, Barry. I miss you too.
This will be great. Good. Karen, anything further that you want to contribute before we sign off? You're a hero. Whatever the feminine of hero is. Hero? Let the record show tumultuous applause.
Yes.
Oh, can I just say one quick thing?
Sure.
This is kind of important to the vaccination. So I had a constituent ask me about if fishermen fell into food and agriculture. And I sent a message to Mac Shank and I copied Karen, and Mac said he would get a definition of that from the state. So he wasn't quite sure, but he thought it was worth looking into. So we're a fishing community and it's a valid question for phase 2. So that will be remedied by Max and Karen's office. So I just wanted to mention that.
In the same light, I was interested to see that the teachers union, who are pushing for improved access to vaccine, they included library staff in their suit. And it's the first official mention that I have seen where that has happened. So that is progress. I don't know what will become of the suit, but at least library staff is being thought of in the same category, Val, much like your mindset of
yeah, and in the suit that Fred's referring to is that the superintendents and all the North Shore collaboratives of superintendents voted that they wanted teachers to be part of essential services, therefore in round 2 of the vaccination.
Mm-hmm. But it's to say in their suit, they also included library staff, which is a relief from my perspective as well. Okay, one and all, this meeting is run late. It's been chock-a-block full. I am proud to be a member of the Council on Aging, I can tell you. And my appointment was approved last night. So I'm with you for another.
No, you still need my vote on Tuesday, Fred. So that's
I'm baking cookies as we go.
Apple.
We are doing serious good work here. Elise, anything further before we sign off?
No, thank you all. Thank you all for your patience and your understanding of what is, like I said, rapidly unfolding and resource, it's a resource consuming situation that we have here. And thank you all for your understanding of that and all the offers to help and the support. It could make me cry if I really thought about it too long, so I won't, but thank you all.
Good. May I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Barry. We don't need a second. Bless you all. It's been a good time. Thanks.
Great. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.